All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this afternoon. It is a real pleasure to spend a Sunday afternoon with you all. My name is Jamie Stamey, and I am the Executive Director of the Center for Career Development. I've been at Davidson for almost 7 years. It'll be 7 years this summer. And it's absolutely the most wonderful place to work. And I desperately wish that I had had the opportunity to attend Davidson as a student, because I think it seems like an amazing place to be a student as well, from everything I've learned over the years. While we still have folks trickling in, I would love to have you throw in the chat where you're joining from. This is a webinar, so we can't see each other, but would love to know just who I'm out there talking to and who's out there, so we can start to get to know each other a little bit. So feel free to, I believe I got the chat turned on for everyone. If you'd like to throw it in, would love to hear where you're joining from. So as we get started today, I'm here in Davidson. I live right down the street from campus. So it's a beautiful day, about 75 degrees. The sun is shining. I've been out doing some gardening today. It's just one of those kind of classic and pristine Davidson days. So it's a shame that you can't be here to join us for it right now. But all in time, you will get to experience it for yourself, I hope. So I see somebody coming from Memphis, Tennessee. That's awesome. Welcome. Great. So I'm going to get in and get started. And as we go throughout, the Q&A box is open as well as the chat. So feel free to throw any questions you have on either one of those, and I'll keep my eye out. Great, loving seeing more people chiming in, and also seeing where people are right now. Some of you might be on spring break, or maybe still learning remotely, so you can kind of be anywhere. So that's cool. So like I said, my name is Jamie Stamey. I'm Executive Director of the Center for Career Development. And my goal for this session is just to kind of introduce you to what does career development mean? And then also share with you some information about what our office does and how we do it. But really, it's all about helping you understand what the exploration of your future career could look like at Davidson. How can you get engaged? What do we offer? All of the things that will just help you as you consider, where can Davidson get me? Where will I end up after Davidson? So that's going to be our focus of this session today. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I wanted to do was just introduce you to our Center for Career Development staff. You can see that I'm joined by 11 other fantastic people. Of course, you don't know they're fantastic yet, but I can assure you they are. We have a really large staff for a school the size of Davidson, and that's something that I think really it illustrates how important and the priority that we as a college place on your individual career development. Obviously, Davidson, we are really grounded in our mission and our values of liberal arts as the foundation of what we work from. But I think it's important for a liberal arts school to also have this focus on where can you take this education? How can you impact the world? How can you take this on and create a life of leadership and service? So these folks definitely can help you do that. But I'll point out that this process isn't going to happen in a bubble. It's not just the Center for Career Development team that will help you navigate this. All of your faculty members, coaches, advisors, there are so many people on our campus that you'll find yourself engaging in conversations with that will in some way impact your thoughts about your future career. So we like to just kind of call ourselves kind of that one-stop shop where you can come to get the things that you need, the resources that you need, but certainly we are not the only people on campus that will encourage and influence you as you go through your time. So I'll just point out, in addition to the size, if you would kind of look at the individual titles that we have we are set up a little bit differently than other career centers on other campuses, where we have people that are focusing on either specific populations or specific industries. So our goal is for each student to find the person that's the best fit for them, and everybody should have multiple options. So maybe you are an international student and you would like to meet with Raquel Daly, but you're also interested in healthcare. And so maybe you would meet with Dalton Langdon, and you give them both a shot and see who you click with. And that could be the person that you decide to have a longer term relationship with. Or maybe you continue to use both of them for their varying areas of expertise. So again, our real focus is to provide as many points of contact as you need to find that person that's a really good fit and will help you feel comfortable utilizing our office. All right, so what is career development? You know, y'all are at an interesting stage in life where certainly when I was 18, which is really what I have to compare it to, I had thought a little bit about my future, but it just seemed so far away. So at this stage, some of you maybe have an idea of what you want to do, and some of you might not have any idea. It may have even played into your role to attend Davidson. It may eventually play into your decision about what major you will pursue. But regardless of where you are at with your thoughts right now about your future post-college, that's where we really come in. And so we can help you no matter where you are on the spectrum of what you want for after Davidson. We're going to help you figure out where you're at and how to get to ultimately where you'd like to be. So a couple of things that I like to really point out when I'm talking with underclassmen and younger students is career development really is a journey. So not to be kind of cliche, but it is kind of like this winding road. Some of you know what you want to do, others have no idea. But the big thing is, over the course of your 4 years in college, you're going to be introduced to so many things that could have an impact and influence where you ultimately end up after Davidson, but then even 30, 40 years from now. You might participate in a student organization that redirects you. You might get involved in with the Center for Civic Engagement and get plugged into the community. Even your athletic experience could influence these. Somebody that you meet randomly through an event, maybe it's a Davidson alumna or an alumnus. There's so many things that could happen to you over these 4 years that there's really no straight path. You really are going to be kind of going around a lot of curves as you take this journey. And so our goal in the Center for Career Development is to help you take all of these things and just continue to process them as you go through your 4 years. So we're going to work with you right out of the gate, starting in your first year. We're available to you. You'll hear from us regularly. We'll be a part of your orientation. There will be a lot of ways that we will interact with each other in these 4 years, because we want to help you really process these experiences that you'll gain and figure out how do they all come together. Not just these experiences, but also how do these experiences align with my academic pursuits? How do I create my academic passion and also a more professional passion with those things that are still really important to me on a personal level? So those are all the things that we're here to help you with. And our team, and what we're going to talk about here in a little bit, we're here to offer a lot of ways that you can gain these experiences, but then also just to help you sit back and think about them and how do they all come together. So career development really is a journey. It really is not about where you are at a specific time on that journey. We want to help you no matter where you're at. So the biggest thing that I can really emphasize to any new student who's either thinking about Davidson or already committed is you can utilize our office even if you have no place to start. It might literally just be, I know this is something I should start thinking about, but I don't know where to start. We love to work with students like that just as much as we love to work with students who do kind of know what they want to do or are absolutely sure of what they know, of what they want to do. Okay, so moving on a little bit, I've got a little bit of an interactive activity for us today. One of the biggest decisions that you'll make within the first 2 years is which major you'll decide to pursue. And so for some people, this is a really hard choice. Maybe you have a passion for an academic area, but you're concerned what jobs are on the other side of college. Some of you are worried about what your family or friends will say when you tell them that you've decided to major in Africana studies or philosophy. We have the data to help you address those concerns so that when somebody asks you, what are you going to do with that major? You can say with confidence, I can do anything. And that's the beauty of the liberal arts. If you want to look at some really interesting data on the Career Center website, which is just davidson.edu/careers, you'll find academic outcomes, professional outcomes for all of our majors for about 10 to 15 years on our website. So if that is something you're interested in and you're thinking about a major in history, go check out where history majors have gone before. So this slide here is kind of a fun little activity that I'm going to ask folks to utilize the chat, please, to kind of give me your thoughts. So as you're looking at this screen, we have a specific major that is represented. And you can see down below in the key, the different industry areas that these majors went into. So down at the bottom, you kind of have that brownish green color. It's not the most beautiful color in the world. You have students that went into education, social community services, and nonprofits. To the left and going clockwise, there you have healthcare, medicine, medical research. Then you've got your STEM careers in computer science. Then you've got some red, which is arts and entertainment. So you can kind of see from this, you've got the full spectrum. So I'm going to give you just about 30 seconds in the chat. Which major do you think this is representing? Do you think it's biology, anthropology, or psychology? Anybody out there want to throw an idea in the chat? All right, Lucy's saying psychology. Anyone else? Okay, so y'all are treating this truly like a webinar. So that's totally fine. So Lucy and Reg, you absolutely actually are right. It is a psychology major represented here, but honestly, it could be any of those three majors. And that's the beauty of the liberal arts. If you were to go in to that website that I mentioned and look at bio, look at anthro, you will find individuals going into all of these industry sectors, no matter the specific major that they had. So it's really a fun way when we're talking with students and with family members, as you're starting to think about what is that major going to look like and what are my career outcomes going to be, this is really a fun way to kind of visualize it, but also to really see the data that backs that up. Okay, so this might not work out since we are in more of a webinar format, but I'm going to give it a try. So this time we are, if possible, going to use I'm not sure if you guys have the raise your hand feature on here or not. Okay, yes, I see a few people have raised their hands. Perfect. So as we go through these instructions really quickly, everybody go ahead and raise your hand for me. On the next slide, I'm going to show you some different qualifications or pieces from a job description and have you guess what job this is and see if it's something that you would be interested in or not. Okay, so moving to this next slide. All right, now I want everybody to raise your hand again because that didn't last very long. So just keep an eye on it. You might have to kind of keep raising your hand a little bit until you're ready to not raise your hand. So you think you want qualification number 1, opportunities in all areas of countries or all over the world. If that sounds awesome, keep your hand raised. If you're not interested in that, lower your hand. You must be willing to relocate as needed, either domestically or abroad. If that's not cool, let your hand lower. You must have an interest in social justice and ensuring the safety of all people. Keep your hand raised or allow it to lower. This is a service job, but you won't be selling a product. You must be willing to remain in good physical shape. Willing and able, I will say. Your schedule will look different from day to day. So that's something to think about. What are you envisioning your future? Do you want something consistent or do you like a little bit of fluidity? You must be able to work independently, adapt to changing circumstances, sometimes dangerous situations, and make logical, well-reasoned decisions based on all available facts. If that does not sound up your alley, go ahead and let your hand lower. And our last one, pay range for trainees is 62 to 80,000 early on. So if that doesn't seem like enough, you can lower your hand there. Okay, so we've still got quite a few with their hand raised. We got 16 with their hand still raised that think this might be interesting. So now in the chat, those of you who still have your hand raised, what do you think this job is? I'll give you a few minutes in the chat. What job position do you think you just remained standing for? Anybody want to take a guess? Nursing? It's a good guess. That's not it, but I think it is very similar. Someone in a medical field, absolutely, a lot of the same qualifications, but that's not it. We'll see if we've got one more different guess out there. All right, well, let's show you what we've got. This is actually pieces of a description from the FBI. So this is an example of one of the employers that does recruit at Davidson. And so as we get further on, we'll talk a little bit about how we engage with employers and how we create opportunity. But just for a fun fact, the FBI does recruit from our student body. But this exercise is just to really show you kind of some of the things that you're going to be thinking about when you're starting to narrow down your career options. And so these are some of the questions that we might ask you. These are some of the things that we'll want to think about as you're thinking about internships or research experiences. Certainly, this is a very creative process going through the career development journey. And so thinking about your future and what does that could look like, there's some important questions that we want to ask before we settle on anything. All right, so now getting into some of the more nitty gritty. I'm going to move my chat windows here so I can see our slide a little bit more completely. This is kind of highlighting what it is that we do in the center. So obviously I've been talking a lot about career exploration, helping you decide, how to navigate all of the opportunities that are placed in front of you. So what do we do with that? So our office with our team of 12, we do offer one-on-one customized career advising sessions. And through those, we offer a range of different resources and assessments that can help you along this journey, such as the MBTI or the Strong Interest Inventory. We are open all day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. And during that time, you don't need an appointment to come to our office. There's always somebody available for a drop-in if you just need immediate access, maybe just to ask a quick question. Maybe you're preparing for an interview or you're making some changes to your resume, those things that are just more of what we call a quick hit that you don't need that appointment. Then we can get into the more in-depth one-on-one advising to do mock interviews, planning out your internship process, where you're going to start with your applications, preparing your resume, prepping for interviews, all of that. But we are not just internships and jobs. We help students prepare for research opportunities as well as grants and fellowships. We're going to highlight that in a few minutes, as well as graduate school. So many of our students, typically about 17 to 18% of our graduates, decide to go directly into graduate or professional school. And so our office can help with the preparation for that process as well. We host a lot of on-campus events, both hosted by my team, utilizing the expertise that they bring with them, but then also bringing in employers, alums, a variety of people who are experts in their individual careers that can offer a lot of unique opportunities for students to engage. And we offer those in a variety of formats so that you can find kind of that format, that process that works best for you. A lot of workshops and seminars, but then also off-campus and virtual opportunities as well. And of course, this past year, we did everything virtually, including all of these things that you see. We didn't let the change in format stop us from still doing some of our key signature events, such as career treks, where we actually take groups of students to different cities to explore specific careers, but also, can I see myself living there? And you're going to see some of those things highlighted in a few moments. Davidson Connect is a networking platform that allows our students to engage with both family members and Davidson alums and utilize and tap into the really vast network that we have at our disposal. So all of these, that's a quick overview of kind of the day-to-day things, the day-to-day functions of our Career Center that I hope that you'll find over your 4 years you'll utilize in different capacities, depending on kind of where you're at in your journey. And so we stay very busy. We have a ton of things going on all the time so that we can try to really make sure we're providing opportunities to students no matter what their interests are and no matter where they are on that journey towards career development. So now I'm going to just show you a quick video from a class of 2020 graduate. This is Michelle, and she's going to explain a couple of things, ways that she tapped into the Davidson network to help her get to where she is now, but really how that experience kind of changed her perspective. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Michelle Monceau. I recently graduated with the class of 2020. Currently, I'm the Duke Endowment Fellow this year, and next year I plan to attend law school. Senior fall, I was able to attend a road trek experience with my soccer teammates while we were traveling in between games. It was a great way for us to engage with Davidson alumni in the Philadelphia area, and for me also to engage with former student athletes at Villanova Law. What I learned from that experience was how valuable it is to engage with alumni at Davidson and get their insight about their careers, and also from the law school perspective, what it is that I should be looking for in a law school program.
Great. So Michelle was one of those students who really took advantage of a full range of opportunities through Davidson and through our office. You heard her mention that we sponsored a road trek for the entire women's soccer team. They had like a double header in Philadelphia. So we took advantage of their extra time that they were going to be in the city. We put together a networking reception, invited all the Davidson alumni and family members in the city, who we had a great turnout of folks who just came. They networked and interacted with our students. And from that, a lot of students gained some really great contacts that they were able to then follow up with and have more in-depth conversations at a later date. Michelle also mentioned that during that trek, we actually hosted multiple events and information sessions. So we did some of the members of the team joined us as we visited a nonprofit organization, and we learned kind of the ins and outs of running a nonprofit. So it was more from the leadership perspective, the administrative side of a nonprofit. And then we also hosted a law school session at Villanova, and you heard Michelle mention that there. So that's just one example of the types of experiences that our office puts together and offers. Now, this one was specifically for athletes, but I mentioned our career trek program that we do 2 to 3 treks a year. It's very similar with lots of networking opportunities and engagement with different employers and graduate schools. Another great program that allows students to really get hands-on experience and explore is our job shadowing program. This allows our students the opportunity to spend a day or two with an industry professional to experience what the job is really like. Davidson alumni and friends of the college love to open up their workplaces to students, and I would encourage any student to take advantage of an opportunity like this over your 4 years. Here you see a photo. This is Walker Ostrell, class of 2020. She spent a couple of days gaining hands-on experience at the Montgomery Cancer Center, shadowing Dr. Margaret Lampkin, who was alum of the class 1991. So this is just a really great way to try something out. Maybe you've always dreamt of doing a specific job, but you really don't know much about it. This could be the experience that shows you, yes, I'm really interested in this, or maybe not so much. Maybe this is more of a personal passion and not necessarily the career that I want to pursue. Another great way to gain experience that you'll see throughout the entire college. This is not our department alone. There's opportunities everywhere, programs everywhere, but there's also funding to do internships. And so we just like to highlight a little bit of what that means. So I've used the stats from summer 2019 just because 2020 was a bit of an enigma, and so the numbers were just a little skewed. So this is more of an average kind of data set for us. But what we do is for students who are pursuing low paying or unpaid internships, no matter the field, whether it's an internship or more of a research experience, that doesn't matter either. But if you're going to earn less than $3,000 for that experience, you are eligible to apply for an internship grant. And so in 2019, the average grant amount was $2,800. The maximum amount is about $5,000. But this helps students really still engage in these experiences that they're interested in, but this will help offset cost of living expenses. And so if you really want to go to DC and experience an internship there, but a lot of government and policy and nonprofit internships are unpaid, this could make that feasible for you. So each year, the amount of funding that we have available increases. And again, this is not just through the Center for Career Development. There are a lot of funding opportunities all across campus. But experiential learning, whether that's an internship or study abroad or community-based learning, research, all of these things are really just fundamental opportunities for a student to gain great experiences, gain great skill sets, but also explore. That word exploration is going to pop up so much as you're going through this journey. And so Davidson is really committed to helping make sure that our students get as much opportunity for experiential learning as possible and to make it feasible. I know when I was a student, I was a first generation college student, I really needed to be able to kind of support myself during the summers. So I wasn't able to do an internship because I needed to have something paid. In the career path that I'm on, higher education, those opportunities weren't paid at the time. So if I'd had an opportunity like this, I might have been able to do that instead of just working for a wage. We have a couple of different internship programs in the Center for Career Development. Again, this is just through our office, and there are so many more throughout the campus. But we work closely with the political science department to help students find internships in our Davidson and Washington program. This program as a whole allows students to participate in a accredited seminar with a Davidson faculty member throughout the summer while participating in a full-time internship. So we support students in finding those internships and preparing to be the best that they can be in those experiences. We have 2 additional international internship programs, Davidson in Europe, Davidson in East Asia. Davidson in East Asia is made possible by a grant from the Freeman Foundation. So approximately 20 students per year receive a $5,000 grant to do an internship in East Asia, anywhere except India. So some really amazing opportunities, not only for career exploration, but also cultural exploration and seeing how those 2 things kind of come together. So some great internship programs through our office and then outside as well. Lastly, on the front of just different programs and experiences that I wanted to highlight today is our fellowship and scholarship program. So here we're talking about both fellowships and scholarships that you may participate in during your 4 years at Davidson, but then also postgraduate experiences. So here we have James highlighted. James was a Fulbright English teacher assistant in France when he graduated for a year. We are a Fulbright top producing college. So this year, for example, we had the current class of 2021. I think we had 34 students go through our application process that we pushed forward, and 26 of those students are moving on as semifinalists to be selected by different host countries. So they haven't found out yet, but those folks are all eagerly awaiting news. We also typically have at least 1 to 2 Watson Fellows per year. The last couple of years, we've had some Rhodes finalists, but of course, we've had actually students selected as Rhodes Scholars over the years. And so all of this, these opportunities do come through the Center for Career Development. We have 2 staff members who are dedicated to helping students prepare for those. And so these are just kind of words of encouragement from those folks starting early, considering both undergraduate and graduate opportunities, working with faculty, and then working with our office if that's something that you are interested in pursuing during your time at Davidson. So that wraps up my formal presentation part of this. I wanted to throw up our avenues for following us and just kind of seeing on a daily basis what we're doing. So these are great ways, both Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We also have a YouTube channel where this year, especially in the COVID situation, we have developed a lot of virtual content that you might find of interest just as you're kind of perusing and thinking about the different opportunities offered by different schools. And so on YouTube, it's the same as our Twitter handle. It's that @Davidson Careers. Please follow us, check us out, and of course, interact with us if you have questions. We're happy to answer questions via social media or email, whatever is the best way for you to engage with us. So here, I'm going to stop sharing And I am going to start taking a look now at our Q&A. It looks like we've got a few things in here. So I'll just start up at the top and we'll go from there. So the first question came from Sharon Logan. How does athlete career development differ from or is similar to other types of career development from a Davidson perspective? That's a great question. So Sharon, you probably noticed that we have a designated assistant director for athlete career development. Fundamentally, it's a lot of the same. It's a lot of the same, introductory content, a lot of the same advice in terms of networking and engaging in experiential learning. It's really about the delivery when it comes to our scholar athletes. So we recognize that they're facing kind of unique challenges with their time and their schedule, especially during their in-season portion of the year. And so Josh really focuses on making himself available, but then also creating programming and opportunities that are unique to Davidson athletes that are a little bit more kind of sensitive to their scheduling challenges. In addition, we have a lot of great alumni that Josh will bring in to help students understand the importance of their athletic experience and how that could translate into the professional world. So how do I talk about this experience? What are the skill sets that will transfer into the professional world? And how do I see potential employers? How do I make potential employers see that? So fundamentally, it's the same. It's the core is still there. It's really about the delivery and the impact that is a little bit different and really unique to our scholar athletes. The next question, does Davidson engage with the EPA? Absolutely. So we utilize a function called Handshake, where we post typically over 30,000 internships, jobs, and fellowships per year with employers from all over the country and all over the world. And so that's kind of the high level ways that students can engage with employers. Employers come to Davidson specifically for the student population that we have. But then on a more intimate level, we work daily. Each of those industry focused individuals on our team work daily to develop relationships with employers from across the sectors who specifically come to Davidson to engage with our students. So maybe they're coming to campus to participate in information sessions or on-campus interviews, different ways of engaging with our students directly. So we have a really wide variety of employers who do come to campus physically or right now virtually, and we suspect that will kind of continue to expand who we're interacting with directly now that we've all mastered the art of these virtual interactions. Our next question was from Christina. Can first years participate in the job shadowing program? Absolutely. The job shadowing program is open to all class years. There is no limit on who participates in that and how many times you can participate in that over your 4 years. So as your career interests continue to evolve, there may be different opportunities for you to engage with different careers as you're going through your time. So that is a great program that's open to all students. In addition to that, I didn't mention this earlier, we have travel grants available for that job shadowing program as well. So if, for example, there's a host in New York City that you'd really like to go and meet with, but you're not from New York and you're here in Charlotte, but you'd like that opportunity, we do provide grants for students to be able to participate in those opportunities as well. And then we've got one more question. It looks like we've got another one from Christina. What are some opportunities that you provide for students in environmental studies? That's a great question. So a couple of things come to mind. Literally this week, we hosted through the Center for Career Development a conservation and sustainability career trek, and it was focused on employers here in the Charlotte area. So I mentioned that typically our career treks are something where we'd take a group of students and physically go and visit a city to learn about a specific industry in that city. We did have to do it virtually this time around, but this one was focused on conservation and sustainability. We had 3 site visits with different employers scheduled. So the employers kind of had a variety of focus areas within the industry, but students were able to kind of hear what it is that that specific employer does, what they look for in their hires, what their recruiting process looks like. And then we're able to have really dynamic kind of one-on-one question, Q&A. And then as part of that trek, we also invited 6 alumni from across the field to participate in more one-on-one conversations with students. So they have the opportunity to rotate through to really expose students to a variety of career possibilities for them. So that's one example for environmental studies. We also have an amazing internship program called Sustainability Scholars through the Office of Sustainability. And this is a great paid opportunity over the summer that allows students to specifically go through a process with a multitude of organizations, mostly in the North Carolina area, but there are some outside of North Carolina. And it's just a great opportunity where these employers are committed to hiring a Davidson student, but then you're also going through it as a cohort. So you go through it with your peers. There's a living component to it. And so it's a really great opportunity. So those are just a couple of examples, Christina, for students who are interested in environmental studies as a major and then possibly careers in that field as well. Okay, we've got another question. What type of employers will Davidson match up with the new public health school? So that is a great question. And so this is an example of where career development won't just happen in the bubble of the Center for Career Development. We will partner with the faculty within the new public health department. And we will also work closely with alumni and family members who are in the field of public health to make sure that we are connecting with the right employers that will fit that major. So that's not something we've started yet. We've started having just initial conversation as we were considering the creation of that department. But that's something that we'll all partner together to start to identify specific employers whom our students will be equipped to go in and work for. And that those conversations will also influence the department and how they proceed with the academic structure of that program. Obviously, taking input from employers and industry members and allowing that to guide our curriculum is another really important way that we engage with the industry to make sure that we're structuring curriculum in a way that will really impact the industry and make sure our students are equipped to have that impact on industry. So I think you'll see a really wide variety to your specific question of employers. We tend to do that with all of our industries. There is not one path that every economics major will go down, for example. There's not one path that every classics major will go down. And so we're really focused on creating a network of a wide variety of employers so that students have a true kind of option when it comes to their postgraduate goals. All right, our next question and from Dan and Gwen, what types of hands-on clinical patient care opportunities can Davidson connect students to? This is another great example of how we work across campus with each other to create these types of opportunities. The allied health and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now on the formal name, Pre-Medicine and Allied Health Department. Excuse me, Dr. Nyla Mamoon is one of our greatest partners, and we work really closely with each other to provide experiential learning opportunities, including clinical patient care opportunities. And so some examples of those, she brings in a variety of speakers from different aspects of the field who then turn out to typically offer different opportunities to students. So once they've started engaging with Davidson students, typically they ask, how can we get Davidson students into our practice or into our hospital? And so there are opportunities with the local hospital networks. We have two big systems in the Charlotte area, Atrium Health and Novant Health Systems. We have some great opportunities to engage with them, but then we're also looking for different ways for students to engage and get hands-on experiences. We provide some funding for different types of credentials or certifications. So for example, we help funding for students who are interested in receiving their CNA certification, and then help them to find experiences where they can get that hands-on practicum experience. And so there's a lot of great ways that that partnership evolves to provide experiences for students. And then of course, because we have such a vast alumni network who go on to practice medicine or be in healthcare in different capacities, there's always ample opportunities through our network, through our job shadowing program, through internships and research experiences, where students get some great experiences there. A couple of specific examples, we have a postgraduate program called the Davidson Impact Fellowship, where we partner with nonprofit organizations. We provide half of the salary, the organization provides the other half for a 1-year postgraduate fellowship. We have a couple of medical related organizations that are a part of that. So typically we'll place 2 fellows in the Emory Winship Cancer Institute. We also have the Mountain Area Health Center, which is a great clinic in the Asheville area. And so there's a lot of postgraduate opportunities for our students to go directly into as well, whether it's that in between before medical school, or as kind of that, I want to get this hands-on experience before I make my decision about medical school. I think we've got one more question in here. This is from Christina again. I know you mentioned that Handshake is used for outside jobs. Is it also used for finding jobs on campus? Thank you for answering questions, and you are totally welcome. Yes, Handshake is actually used for on-campus jobs as well. Although the Center for Career Development does not manage that process, that goes directly through Human Resources. But for those of you who do receive financial aid, where on-campus employment is a requirement of your aid package, you'll find all of those opportunities posted in Handshake, and then you'll go through an interview process with the individual hiring managers. And then also for on-campus jobs that are not federal work study, but you are a student who you need an on-campus job, those are available too, and all of those positions do get posted in the Handshake system. So either way, you will hear about that if you make your commitment to Davidson the summer before you start your freshman semester, your first year semester. Those questions, that information gets sent out directly from Human Resources, so you can get that process started before you actually arrive on campus. Okay, so I think I've answered all of the questions in the Q&A. I'll give just a moment to see if anyone else wants to pop some questions in there. But if not, my presentation is complete. So I will just say that as you're making this huge decision, number one, I feel for you. I remember the day when I had to make that decision. But if we can answer any additional questions for you, I'm happy to do phone calls or Zoom meetings with students or family members, because I know this is a big decision. And for a lot of you, the career piece or the post-Davidson piece is a big factor that you're considering. So please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or anyone on the CCD team. I see a question pop up in the chat. This will be available later. Admission, the Office of Financial Aid and Admission will inform you on how to access. I think you have access to a portal where they will upload the information or this recording. Perfect. Okay, so feel free to leave if you need to head out. I'll continue to answer questions for the next 10 minutes or until we're all out. So we had a question, do you think virtual interviewing will replace on-campus interviews even in the post-COVID world? I think we'll continue to see a mix of these as we've been talking with different employers. For example, I had a conversation with a recruiter from US Bank based here in Charlotte and their Charlotte office who was specifically hiring for technical roles. She is very, very eager to get back on campus and do in-person interviews and in-person recruiting opportunities to engage with students. But I also think that we will see some employers continue to take advantage of the virtual interviewing. Every employer for both internships and full-time roles had to establish some type of system for this over the last year. And so I think it offers them the opportunity to engage with schools that maybe they didn't before, and allows them to just really diversify who they're interviewing. So that's a really positive thing that has come out of it. So there's pros and cons. I think another positive on the other side of that is it does allow us to engage with employers who might not typically come to Davidson. And so that's where the Center for Career Development on the employer engagement side of what we do, it's really critical to find the best way to engage with each employer that we are trying to establish in a relationship with. But that also comes down to the advising and making sure that we're helping students prepare for both in-person and virtual interviews, because they can be very different and they can have different components that come along with it. And so that's where the educational side will continue to adapt as well. I don't think it will replace on-campus interviews in person completely. I think there are still a lot of employers who really enjoy and really where fit is especially important for the type of role, such as maybe management consulting. I think we'll continue to see those in-person interviews happening. All right, so I'll hang out for a few more minutes here. Happy to answer any additional questions you have. Otherwise, I'm sorry I couldn't see you, but it's a pleasure getting the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we do in the Center for Career Development. And I hope that we can engage sometime in the future. And hopefully you'll be coming to Davidson soon and we can start having some one-on-one interactions. So thank you all for joining. I hope you found it helpful.